dollars, but reacts violently to macro headlines. This week is proof. Can Bitcoin survive this chaos? Possibly. If BTC reclaims 70,000 with political or liquidity easing, it could flip the trend. My long-term thesis remains, one Bitcoin could be worth over $400,000 someday. If BTC ever matches gold's market cap, that number could reach $1 million. For that, sovereign adoption is key. The US has hinted at it, but hasn't acted. If they do, that's when things get serious. For now, I'm adding to my HODL wallet at these prices and watching closely. The next 48 hours are critical. If 81.2K breaks upward, we're watching for 83.80 for 0.485888K. If it fails, a revisit to the 74K 71K zone is likely. Short squeezes may play a role. The deeper the fear, the stronger the bounce. The entire market is watching this chart. Let me know in the comments, are we heading to 88K or back to 74K first? Like, subscribe, and Bitcoin is walking a tightrope right now. We just tested $81.20 again today. It held, but another drop toward $80.50 might still happen. If BTC breaks above $83, a move to fill the CME gap at $84.40 becomes realistic. $85 and $88 targets are still on the table, as long as structure remains intact, but if we fall below yesterday's low, that short-term bullish setup is officially broken. Right now, $83 to $85 is a strong resistance zone, and bulls are struggling to break it. Watch this area closely, it could make or break the rally. Bitcoin just dropped below $70,000. Is this the end of the rally, or just the beginning? This zone includes major support. 365-day moving average, realized price, and the 2021 bull market top. If Bitcoin holds above 7OK, we might still hit 12OK this cycle. But if we stay below, things might get ugly. Full breakdown coming Monday. Stay tuned. One investor suggests this portfolio, 15% stocks, 10% dividend stocks, 0.5% cash, 30% assets like crypto or gold, and 40% fixed income like bonds. But here's the question. Where should Bitcoin really fit? Let me know in the comments. Bitcoin just dropped over 7% and is testing critical support. If 77K breaks, we could see 74K or even lower, but this setup might also be a fake out. Full breakdown on the channel, link in bio. Binance is now easier than ever to join, and the timing couldn't be better. Bitcoin is showing strength again, and while others are waiting, smart investors are positioning early. This might be your last chance before the 12OK breakout. Don't stay outside the train. Get your Binance account in 2 minutes and be ready. The bull market doesn't wait. Bitcoin is once again testing its ability to stay above the daily trend line, a level that often determines strong price swings in either direction. Currently, holding above the $85,000 mark is crucial. If Bitcoin loses this area, we could see more downside pressure in the short term. However, last week, Bitcoin is walking a tightrope right now. We just tested $81 and Bitcoin just dropped. Bitcoin. Binance is now easier than ever to join, and the timing couldn't be better. Bitcoin is showing strength again, and while others are waiting, smart investors are positioning early. This might be your last chance before the 12OK breakout. Don't stay outside the train. Get your Binance account in 2 minutes and be ready. The bull market doesn't. Bitcoin is once again testing it. Last week, Bitcoin is walking a tight. Bitcoin. Binance is now easier than ever. Bitcoin is once again testing its ability to stay above the daily trend line, a level that often determines strong price swings in either direction. Currently, holding above the $85,000 mark is crucial. If Bitcoin loses this area, we could see more downside pressure in the short term. However, reclaiming this trend zone could shift sentiment, with algorithmic strategies gradually transitioning from short to long positions. So far, it's been a decent start to the day, but there's still a long way to go, and volatility remains high. The recent tariff discussions have created uncertainty across the entire market. Since traders dislike ambiguity, today's resolution, whether positive or negative, could bring clarity. The $85,000 to $88,000 zone remains a key area to monitor. A bullish market structure could be confirmed if Bitcoin prints higher highs around the $90,000 to $96,000 range in the coming days, followed by a healthy higher low. Zooming out to the 3-day chart, there's an inverted head and shoulders pattern forming, a bullish reversal signal that should not be overlooked. If this structure plays out, without a fakeout, the technical target lies in the $96,000 to $97,000 range. This potential shift in momentum could mark a significant turning point in the mid-term Bitcoin trend. However, as always, confirmation through breakout and sustained volume will be key. If price action breaks above the neckline convincingly, it could trigger a wave of bullish sentiment across the crypto markets. Looking at Bitcoin's short-term price action, we've successfully reached our initial targets at $86,900 and $88,600. The groundwork for further upside could be set as long as Bitcoin stays above the $85,000 support in tomorrow's trading. However, closing below this critical level could introduce new risks to the current setup. We'll reassess the short-term outlook again tomorrow based on today's daily close to better understand the next possible movements. We've been highlighting the 85K to 88K range as a resistance block, and so far, that zone is acting accordingly. Whether Bitcoin can close above the daily trend remains a crucial question in the coming sessions. Right now, the trend line sits around the $84,000 to $85,000 range. As long as daily closes happen below this zone, the market stays in a risky area. On the other hand, closing above it could bring some short-term relief and a more stable sentiment. It's been a volatile day, and we'll need to see how the candle closes before making more confident predictions. Meanwhile, Trump's recent statements indicate a rather firm stance on tariffs, not as soft as some might have expected. But what really matters now is how the market reacts to it. Bitcoin failed to close above the daily trend, and while the move from $81,000 to $88,000 wasn't bad, adding over $7,000 in value, it was quickly followed by a sharp correction. Today's selling wasn't limited to crypto. U.S. equities also experienced a strong sell-off. If Bitcoin manages to dip just below the previous wicks and recover, $81,000 could still hold as support. That level surviving, especially while the S&P drops, could hint at some decoupling. Still, that's a big ask in such an uncertain environment. Trump's new tariffs are much harsher than expected. And unless the US and other countries begin serious negotiations for tariff rollbacks, we could be entering a period of prolonged stress for equities and risk-on assets. Let's break it down with some key